When I turned 60, my neighbor, who was only a year older, began having trouble standing up from her futon. By 65, she couldn't lift her shopping bags, and by 70, she needed help climbing the steps to the temple. This wasn't unusual. In Japan, doctors quietly tell us something we've known for generations. After 60, the muscles we once trusted begin to disappear, slowly, silently. In fact, by the time we reach 70, many of us have lost over 15% of our muscle strength, even if we try to stay active. But that didn't happen to me. I'm 86 now, and this morning, just like every morning, I walked to the market, swept the yard, and made breakfast from scratch. Not because I'm special, but because of something simple I've eaten almost every day for the last 40 years. Not eggs. In my home, we eat something sticky, earthy, and full of life. Natto, our quiet little superfood. Before we begin, I'd love to know, where are you watching this from, and what time is it for you right now? Please let me know in the comments below. I truly look forward to reading them. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss what's coming next. The silent thief. After 60, I remember my husband telling me once, the body forgets slowly. First, you lose your speed, then your strength, and then your trust in it. He was right. After 60, something begins to shift inside us. Not overnight, not in ways you can always feel, but deep inside, the muscles, the ones that helped us climb mountains in our youth, lift grandchildren, or carry rice from the fields, fibers begin to shrink and disappear. Doctors have a name for it, sarcopenia, but I never knew that word until much later. In my generation, we just called it becoming weak with age. What we didn't realize was that the process starts earlier than we thought. Studies now show that most people start losing 3% to 5% of their muscle mass every 10 years after age 30. After 60, the rate increases, and the worst part, it accelerates if you don't act. Even if your weight stays the same, the muscle quietly melts away, and fat, often unnoticed, takes its place. But here's what truly opened my eyes. Losing muscle isn't just about feeling weak. It affects everything. How well we balance, how quickly we react, how we digest food, how warm we stay in winter, and even how long we live. I once read in a medical journal that muscle strength in old age predicts longevity more accurately than blood pressure or cholesterol. That surprised me, but when I thought about my friends who aged well, it made sense. The ones who could keep moving, stay independent, cook, clean, play, those were the ones who stayed happy, sharp, and full of life. And the saddest part? Many of us think we're eating healthy, but we're not feeding our muscles what they truly need. I used to see my American relatives eating toast with jam or oatmeal with bananas. But where's the real protein? The kind that rebuilds, repairs, and restores? In Japan, our elders eat differently. And one food, small, strong, and often misunderstood, has helped us hold on to our strength far longer than many expect. You may not like the smell at first, but stay with me. It might just change how you age. Why eggs aren't enough, and what we do differently in Japan. I've often heard my American friends say, well, I eat eggs every morning. That's enough protein, right? It sounds reasonable. After all, eggs are a complete protein, easy, fast, familiar. But when you cross 60, the rules of the body change. You see, our muscles don't absorb protein the same way they used to. In youth, a single egg could spark growth, but in older age, our digestion slows. The signals that tell our muscles to rebuild become quieter. What worked before now barely maintains the ground we stand on. That's why simply eating an egg isn't enough. It's not about the protein content alone, it's about how well your body can use that protein. And most elders need 30 to 40 grams of high-quality protein at each meal just to maintain muscle mass. One egg only gives you 6. Now let me tell you a different story. In Japan, we don't start the day with eggs and toast. At least, not traditionally. When I was a child, breakfast smelled different. Steamed rice, miso soup, grilled fish, pickled vegetables, and one more thing, slightly sticky, slightly smelly, and incredibly powerful, natto. Natto isn't fancy. It's fermented soybeans, aged with a special bacteria called Bacillus subtilis. To some, it smells like old cheese. To us, it smells like home. But more than that, natto is dense with nutrients that matter as we age. It's rich in protein, about 18 grams per cup, but also contains enzymes, probiotics, vitamin K2, and natural compounds that do more than just build muscle. They support bone health, blood flow, and even immune function. And perhaps most importantly, natto is bioavailable. That means our aging bodies can absorb and use the protein and nutrients far more efficiently than from many other sources. My husband used to say, "It's not just what you eat, it's what your body can keep." We didn't have science back then, but we had something else: observation. We saw that elders who ate natto stayed strong longer, that grandmothers who added it to their rice every day could still climb stairs at 85, that farmers in northern Japan, where natto is eaten most, aged slower, walked longer, and needed less help. And over time, this became part of our national wisdom. Now, don't get me wrong, eggs are still good, but they are not the magic bullet for aging muscles, especially when eaten alone, without the rich variety of traditional whole foods that make the body come alive. In Japan, we don't think of food as just fuel. We think of it as shokuiku, a form of education. Every bite teaches the body how to live. That's why I've chosen to keep natto in my life. Not because it's trendy or even tasty at first, but because it's time-tested. It reminds me that growing older doesn't mean growing weaker, not if we eat with wisdom. Natto, the strange little superfood that keeps us strong. I'll be honest with you, when I was a young girl, I didn't like natto. No one truly loves it the first time. It's sticky. It strings between your chopsticks like spider silk. It smells earthy, some say. Others say it's like old socks or strong cheese. I say it's like the scent of a wooden farmhouse in the rain. Deep, familiar, and alive. But the elders in my family never let us skip it. Eat your natto, my grandmother used to say. It will keep your legs working when you're old. I didn't believe her at first, but now that I'm 86 and still walking without a cane, I wonder if she knew more than science did back then. What exactly is natto? It's simple, just soybeans, steamed and fermented with Bacillus subtilis, a natural bacteria that lives in rice straw. This process transforms plain beans into something powerful, nutritionally and spiritually. Over the years, modern labs have found that natto is rich in complete protein to rebuild and preserve aging muscles, vitamin K2 to support strong bones and prevent calcium buildup in arteries, natto kinase, a natural enzyme that improves blood flow and may reduce risk of blood clots, probiotics to help with digestion, immunity, and nutrient absorption, isoflavones, plant compounds that support hormonal balance, especially in women after menopause, But science came later. In our village, we knew natto through stories, not studies. We saw that the old farmers who ate it every morning had stronger backs, that even the poorest households who couldn't afford meat or fish still stayed healthy with just rice, miso soup, and natto, that there was something protective in its humble strength. And there's something beautiful in how we eat it too. You stir it, not just a few times, but many. Some say 50 times, others 100. The more you stir, the more the texture changes. It becomes creamier, silkier, alive. We add soy sauce, a little mustard, sometimes green onions. We pour it over rice. We eat slowly. This act of stirring, it's almost meditative, like saying to your food, I see you, I thank you, I welcome your strength into my body. For outsiders, natto may seem odd, but for us, it's a quiet miracle, not just because of its nutrients, but because of what it represents. A daily ritual of care, a small act of prevention, a gift from fermentation and time. I often think, in a world where people chase pills, powders, and protein shakes, we forget the wisdom of simple things, of letting nature do the work, of trusting the foods that have nourished generations. Natto isn't just a superfood. To me, it's a promise that age doesn't have to mean decline, that strength can come in quiet, sticky, surprising forms. From 70 to 85, my quiet journey with natto. I didn't begin eating natto seriously until I turned 70. That year, my knees began to ache. I couldn't squat, to garden the way I used to. My legs felt slower, my mornings stiffer. I remember standing at the top of the temple steps, looking down, wondering if I'd need help. That night, I sat with my daughter at dinner. She looked at me and said gently, "Mother, maybe it's time to go back to how Grandma used to feed us." She brought out a bowl of hot rice, a small pack of natto, and a tiny bottle of soy sauce. At first, I hesitated. It had been years since I last ate natto regularly. Life got busy, and convenience crept in. Toast, coffee, quick meals. The kind of eating that fills the stomach but forgets the soul. But that night, I stirred the natto slowly, just like I was taught. 50 times, maybe more. I added soy sauce, a little mustard, and I ate. The taste was familiar, but what came after surprised me. Not the next day, not even the next week, but slowly, almost invisibly, my body began to respond. By the third month, my joints felt less stiff. By the sixth, I was walking farther without thinking. And by the first winter, something small but wonderful happened. I no longer needed help carrying my firewood. It wasn't magic. It was momentum. Every bowl of natto was like adding one small coin into the bank of my future strength. And over time, the savings grew. I began to crave the ritual, waking up early, rinsing my face with cold water, cooking rice on the stove, and opening that little packet of natto, stirring slowly while the sun rose through the shoji screen. Sometimes I'd add green onions, sometimes a raw quail egg, but always it was the same, my body thanking me quietly, meal after meal. By 75, I noticed something even my doctor found hard to believe. My grip strength had improved. My muscle mass had stabilized, and most surprising of all, my balance had actually gotten better. He asked if I was exercising more. I laughed. "No," I said. "I'm just eating what my grandmother told me to eat." At 80, my friends began needing canes. Some fell, some moved in with their children, but I still walked to the garden. I still cooked every meal. I still knelt at the altar to light incense each morning. Was it only the natto? No, but it was part of a deeper return. Returning to slow food, to listening to the body, to remembering what kept our elders strong when medicine was scarce, but wisdom was rich. Now, at 86, I still eat natto every morning. Not because I have to, but because it reminds me strength isn't just in the muscles. It's in the small, steady choices we make each day. The science behind natto, why it works for aging muscles. When I was younger, we didn't ask why natto was good for us. We just trusted the stories, passed down like recipes, softly, from mother to daughter, like the scent of rice in a wooden kitchen. But now, the world wants evidence, and it turns out science has been kind to our old traditions. Let me tell you what modern research says about this sticky little food I eat every day. First, muscle loss after 60 isn't just about aging. It's about inflammation, poor digestion, and the body losing its ability to turn protein into strength. That's why even if you eat meat or drink milk, your muscles may still weaken. Natto changes that. Each serving of natto contains all 9 essential amino acids, the building blocks of muscle. But unlike many protein sources, natto is also rich in vitamin K2, a rare nutrient that helps calcium stay in the bones and out of the arteries. This supports both bone strength and heart health, 2 things we deeply rely on as we age. But perhaps the most magical part, nattokinase. This enzyme is unique to natto. It forms during fermentation, and scientists now believe it helps support healthy blood circulation by naturally thinning the blood, breaking down small clots, and improving flow to muscles and the brain. Better blood flow means better oxygen. Better oxygen means better muscle repair. Better repair means, you guessed it, stronger, more resilient aging bodies. One study I read from a Japanese health journal followed a group of people over 65 who ate natto daily for 1 year. Compared to those who didn't, the natto group showed higher grip strength, better balance, and slower decline in muscle mass. And that's not all. Natto also contains probiotics that help with digestion, crucial as we age when our gut becomes more sensitive. These friendly bacteria improve how we absorb nutrients from all foods, not just natto. So that spinach, that rice, that fish, they all work better when paired with natto. It's like giving your whole digestive system a little helper each morning. And there's more. The isoflavones in soybeans may also support hormonal balance in older women, easing joint discomfort and maintaining bone density during and after menopause. It's as if this one food, humble, sticky, and old, was designed by nature for the second half of life. Of course, natto isn't a cure-all. It won't reverse time, but it can slow the clock in quiet, consistent ways. A bit more balance on the stairs, a bit more strength in your arms, a bit more energy to greet the morning. I like to think of natto not as a medicine, but as a companion, one that walks beside me, bowl after bowl, year after year, helping me stay steady on the path of aging. And now science finally agrees with what our grandmothers always knew. Sometimes the best remedies don't come in bottles. They come wrapped in rice straw, stirred with chopsticks, and eaten with gratitude. Eating natto the Japanese way. More than a meal, a ritual. In Japan, we don't just eat food. We greet it. We prepare it slowly. And when we eat, especially something like natto, we do so not just to feed the body, but to calm the spirit. Every morning, I rise with the sun. The house is quiet. I boil the rice, not in a machine, but on the stove. The steam begins to dance. I open the window to let in the fresh morning air, crisp, sometimes with a touch of mountain mist. Then I sit. No phone, no TV, just me, my chopsticks, and a small wooden table by the window. I open the natto pack gently. Inside are the beans, a packet of soy sauce, a bit of mustard. I pour them in, and then I begin to stir. Not in a rush, not mechanically, but slowly. Circular motions, 50, sometimes 100 times. With each stir, the texture changes, from rough to silky, from separate to connected. The sticky threads form, just like the quiet threads of habit that have held me strong for decades. This stirring, it centers me. It's a small act of patience, a small reminder that strength isn't just built in the gym or with big effort. Sometimes it's found in a bowl, stirred with care. Once the natto is ready, I scoop it onto my warm rice. The contrast, the earthy beans, the soft grain, the sharpness of mustard, it wakes up my senses gently. Some mornings, I add chopped green onion. Other times, a raw quail egg. Each variation brings joy, but the foundation is always the same. I take my first bite with both hands. In Japan, before eating, we say, "Itadakimasu." It means I humbly receive, not just the food, but the effort of those who made it possible, the farmer, the fermenter, the hands that packaged it, the land itself. Eating natto this way is more than nutrition. It's a ritual of presence, a moment to remember that I'm still here, still able to feed myself, still alive in this precious, aging body. I believe this is part of why natto works so well for us. Not just what it gives, but how we receive it. In Western countries, food is often rushed, eaten in cars, in front of screens, barely chewed, barely noticed. But our bodies notice. Our digestion slows. Our hearts feel hurried. Natto invites slowness. It asks us to pay attention. And in doing so, it nourishes us far beyond the protein or probiotics. It teaches us that aging gracefully isn't about denying time. It's about welcoming each morning with intention and each bite with gratitude. If you can't eat natto, two gentle alternatives. I understand. Truly I do. Not everyone can eat natto. The texture, the smell, the strings, it can be too much for those who didn't grow up with it. Even in Japan, there are people who avoid it their whole lives. But that doesn't mean you can't follow the spirit behind it. Because the gift of natto isn't just in the beans, it's in what it gives: strength, balance, and quiet energy for the day ahead. If you can't eat natto, there are two gentle paths you can take. 1. Fermented miso plus tofu breakfast bowls. Instead of natto, try combining warm miso broth with soft cubes of tofu, a sprinkle of chopped green onions, and perhaps a dash of sesame oil or dried seaweed. Miso, like natto, is fermented soy. It's rich in probiotics, easy on the stomach, and helps support digestion and immunity, especially in older adults. Tofu brings complete protein in a gentle, smooth form. It's easy to chew, easy to digest, and beloved in many Japanese kitchens. This kind of breakfast is warm, nourishing, and kind. It may not rebuild muscle as quickly as natto, but it supports your system in a steady, loving way. 2. Natto capsules. A modern bridge. For those who want the benefits, but truly can't stomach the taste, there's now a modern option: freeze-dried natto powder or natto kinase capsules. These are sold in Japanese pharmacies and now even online in many countries. Of course, They're not exactly the same as the real food, but they still offer the key nutrients, especially nattokinase and vitamin K2, which support heart health, blood flow, and bone strength. Just remember, supplements are tools, not magic. They work best when paired with whole, real foods like miso, tofu, vegetables, seaweed, rice. What matters most is not perfection, but consistency. Finding what works for you and honoring it each day with a calm heart. I always say, if you can't do the full ceremony, light a single candle. If you can't eat natto, begin with something that brings you closer to its spirit. Strength after 60 isn't about doing things exactly like the Japanese. It's about doing things with care, with purpose, and with the deep belief that you still deserve to feel strong. Aging doesn't ask for permission. It arrives quietly, softening the muscles, slowing the mornings, whispering in the joints. But we are not powerless. In Japan, we've learned to meet aging not with fear, but with rhythm, with bowls of natto stirred in silence, with breakfasts that rebuild, with rituals that remind the body it is still loved, still worthy of strength. Maybe you'll try natto, maybe not, but I hope this story reminds you that it's never too late to begin again, to move a little more, to eat with intention, to treat each meal as a moment of healing. You don't need perfect habits. You just need one quiet act of care, repeated day after day. And so, from my little kitchen in Japan to yours, I wish you strong legs, a clear mind, and a heart full of peace. Let's grow old with grace, not by fighting time, but by walking with it, one mindful meal at a time. Disclaimer: health-related information shared in this video is for general educational purposes and may not apply to everyone. It is not medical advice. If you have health concerns, please consult with a doctor or healthcare provider. If you believe you are having a medical emergency, please call your doctor or emergency services right away.